Welcome to the Global WarWatch Network. Today, we're getting into a really um, a fascinating and pretty complex story that's unfolding in Japan.
It certainly is. A lot of layers to it.
Yeah, it's all about the huge effort to manage and now to actually try and reuse decontaminated soil from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster.
A monumental task, really.
Absolutely. So what we want to do in this detailed analysis is unpack the Japanese government's, well, bold new strategy here. We'll look at the science behind it, and really importantly, the public unease that still seems to be swirling around it.
And that unease is definitely a major factor.
It really is. It's more than just cleaning up the environment. It's about a nation trying to rebuild, grappling with these massive logistical hurdles, and maybe the toughest part, that whole dance of rebuilding public trust.
Trust is key.
Maybe even a little bit about the lengths governments sometimes go to convince their citizens, right?
It's certainly a case study in risk communication.
Okay, let's unpack this fascinating situation then. We're drawing from a whole stack of sources. You've provided official briefings, detailed timelines, the works. So maybe let's start by just rewinding a bit. 2011, Fukushima Daiichi. Most people remember the headlines, but could you just set the scene again? Remind us of the sheer scale of what happened.
Absolutely. So 2011, you had that incredibly powerful earthquake followed by a devastating tsunami.
Right.
And that combination triggered what's been called a cataclysmic meltdown at the power plant. The result was the release of just large amounts of radioactive materials into the environment, polluting huge areas of land.
A truly cataclysmic event.
It really set the stage for this unprecedented cleanup challenge we're still dealing with today.
An unprecedented cleanup. I mean, that almost feels like an understatement, doesn't it? What did that actually involve on the ground for the land itself, and what sort of volume are we even talking about?
Well, the operations were incredibly extensive. They involved removing topsoil, vegetation, cleaning buildings across vast areas. And the result is this staggering figure: 14 million cubic meters of decontaminated soil.
14 million cubic meters. That's hard to picture. Is there an analogy?
Yeah, the one often used is that it's enough soil to fill about 11 baseball stadiums.
11. Okay, that helps visualize it. That is just a colossal amount of material.
It really is.
So where do you even put something like that? Where is it all being kept right now?
Currently, it's all stored at a sprawling outdoor facility near the Fukushima plant. It's essentially a massive temporary holding area.
It's just fields and fields of bagged soil, I imagine.
Pretty much. Huge piles, often in large bags, waiting for a long-term solution. And that, of course, leads us straight to the government's current challenge.
Right, because you've got this mountain of soil, technically decontaminated, but you also have a public that, quite understandably, has long memories of the disaster.
Exactly.
So the big question becomes, how do you convince people it's genuinely safe to reuse? It's not just a scientific issue. It's a huge public perception hurdle.
It's the absolute core challenge. And they've made a highly symbolic move recently to try and address that directly. On Saturday, July 19th, just this past weekend,
Okay.
they delivered decontaminated but slightly radioactive soil from Fukushima to the Japanese Prime Minister's office.
To the PM's office
Right.
itself. Wow. So this isn't just another test plot somewhere obscure.
No, exactly. The reports emphasize this marks the first instance of decontaminated Fukushima soil being used outside of experimental settings since the 2011 nuclear disaster.
That is significant. What are the details? How much soil and what are they actually doing with it?
It's 2 cubic meters of this soil, which isn't a huge amount in itself, but it's now at Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's office complex in Tokyo.
Okay.
And the plan is it will be used as foundation material in one section of the lawn garden.
Foundation material for a garden at the Prime Minister's official residence. Talk about putting your slightly radioactive soil where your mouth is. That's a high-stakes gardening project, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you could certainly say that. It's a very deliberate, very visible demonstration aimed squarely at building confidence.
And presumably, they're backing this up with safety assurances.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The Environment Ministry has been very clear that this use is based on the ministry's safety guidelines. And importantly, these guidelines are endorsed by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA.
The IAEA endorsement is big.
It is. And they've also made a crucial clarification for the public
Which is?
that the soil does not include any from inside the plant.
Oh, okay. That distinction seems really important. Why is that specific point, not from inside the plant, so vital? And can you unpack what decontaminated but slightly radioactive actually means here?
Right, good questions.
Hmm.
So decontaminated means the main radioactive elements, like cesium, which spread widely after the meltdowns, have been removed, often by washing the soil. They get it down to levels that meet strict safety standards set by Japan and agreed upon internationally.
Okay, so it's processed to reduce the radioactivity significantly.
Exactly. Now, the not from inside the plant point is critical because soil inside the actual reactor buildings or the immediate highly contaminated zone would be, well, far more radioactive and potentially contain different, more dangerous isotopes from the fuel itself.
I see. So this is soil from the wider affected areas, like farms and towns.
Precisely. Areas that received fallout, but at much lower initial levels than inside the plant fence. And even that soil has been heavily processed. Slightly radioactive basically means there's a tiny residual level left below the safety limits for this kind of reuse, sometimes comparable to natural background radiation you find anyway.
Got it. So it's certified safe by bodies like the IAEA for these specific controlled uses.
That's the assurance they're providing, layers of scientific validation.
So you have the Symbolic Act at the PM's office, you have the IAEA endorsement, the clarification about the source. Yet, you mentioned earlier, there's still much public unease. Why the lingering skepticism, do you think?
Well, it really points to a deep trust deficit. The trauma of 2011, and perhaps how the initial crisis was handled, created long-lasting doubts about official statements regarding nuclear safety for many people.
So even international endorsement isn't enough to overcome that history for some.
It seems not entirely. The memory is potent, and the stakes feel incredibly high to the public.
And this isn't the first time the government has tried to sort of reintroduce this soil into public spaces, is it? Have there been previous attempts?
No, it's not the first time, and past attempts have definitely hit roadblocks. Public opposition has been quite effective before.
Really? Like what?
Well, there's a specific example mentioned in the sources. The government has already been forced to scrap a plan to experiment using some of the soil in flower beds at several public parks in and around Tokyo following protests.
Ah, okay. So they tried using it in park flower beds, and people protested strongly enough to stop it.
Exactly. It shows just how sensitive this issue remains and how organized the opposition can be.
That definitely puts this latest move at the PM's office into perspective. It's symbolic, yes,
Yeah,
but it's pushing against a history of public resistance.
it really is.
So, looking ahead then, this massive amount of soil. What's the ultimate long-term plan? Is reuse the only strategy, or is there an end disposal goal?
There is a long-term goal. Officials have stated a pledge to find final disposal sites outside of Fukushima by 2045.
2045. So that's still over 2 decades away.
Correct. So this initiative at the Prime Minister's office and potentially other reuse projects are part of the strategy for the interim period.
Mhm.
It's about managing this material over the coming decades.
Okay, so if it fits into a much bigger picture, this garden patch is like one tiny step on a very long road.
A very long road indeed. It's part of this decades-long journey of trying to reclaim the land, manage the waste, and critically, rebuild that public trust.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Beyond just the science and the politics of this one situation, what does this whole ongoing effort say about, well, about a nation trying to heal from such a profound disaster? And how it's trying to redefine what safe even means for the future. It really highlights that tension, that difficult balance societies have to strike between scientific assurances, which might be very robust,
Right.
and these deep-seated public anxieties, which frankly are often completely understandable given the history.
So it's a universal challenge, really,
Yeah.
just playing out very visibly in Japan right now.
It really is. A question that goes way beyond Fukushima. Well, we hope this detailed analysis has given you, our listeners, a clearer picture of this complex and really important situation. If you found this discussion insightful, please do like, share, and subscribe to the Global WarWatch Network. And we'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you make of this strategy? Let us know in the comments below. You can also join the conversation on our social media channels. All links you need are right there in the description. Thanks for tuning in.